Welcome everybody. We'll open up our regular session of February 5th, 2020. As always, please silence, shut off your cell phone, and join us in the prayer.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, Melanie, we do have, just go over additions or deletions, please.
Sure. We have 3 additions. Oregon Criminal Justice Commission, JR1 in Lake County. 6th Amendment to OHA Agreement Number 159818. Approval of members list for LCAC or CHIP. And Mr. Bailey said he has some potential litigation he'd like to review later today also in the meeting.
Okay, and then it's JRI. I made that mistake yesterday.
I did too.
You did it again this morning. You said JR1.
That's what's Jeremiah.
Yeah, it's wrong on the agenda, but
Did JRI.
Yeah.
No big deal. All right,
Roman numerals is one, so.
hey,
it's gonna be a day. So, public comment at this time. There being no public comment, we'll jump right into it. IGA for SIP distribution. We went over that yesterday. You did rewrite part of that. Go ahead, Ann, and give us.
can I ask a quick question? What's the total projected megawatts?
400
400 megawatts.
megawatts, so that community service fee right now is projected to be 800,000.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I did add the word, well, you want to get a little bit more of an overview, but I'll be speedy. Again, this is the intergovernmental agreement for the community service fee that Obsidian will pay under the Strategic Investment Program as approved by the state of Oregon. Due to the size and the value of this project, it qualifies for special tax incentive treatment. And so, to encourage that investment in our county, we allow some tax payment to be made, but then also a tax savings payment through the community service fee. Our intention, since this discussion began a few years ago, was to distribute that community service fee to the tax districts in that code area on a pro rata basis. And so this agreement maintains that original intention. 75% of the districts in that area have to agree to how we're distributing it. So once we are in agreement on this language, I will send it off to all those other tax districts. Yesterday, our draft discussion, we wanted to insert the word annual in 1B2 that talks about when the fee is distributed and it's distributed annually, that the existing tax districts in that code area at that time of distribution is who's eligible to receive the distribution. Currently, we do know that it's potential that we'll be losing a district and maybe replacing that one, but then also having a new district formed. And so our intent is the language captures those scenarios that whoever is a valid tax district at the time of distribution would be eligible for their pro rata share. Again, this went through Art Fish's scrutiny at Business Oregon. He just wanted to clarify that due to state law, Obsidian is required to pay 25% of the tax savings in the community service fee. That means it's possible that in the early years of this project, their community service fee is more than $800,000 and that we would still be distributing that on this pro rata share, which I believe we are all in agreement of. The years that 25% tax savings is less than $800,000, Obsidian has still committed to paying the $800,000 in the $2,000 per megawatt agreement. Okay, Jim Bailey reviewed this agreement as well, and he said it looked fine from his.
Very good. And by us approving this, it starts the process, as you said, to go to the other taxing districts. if the other taxing districts, I guess my question I should ask is if they disagree with this, they would come and negotiate with the board of commissioners.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, we need 75% of them, which really could be the county, the library district, and the extension district. That would actually create that 75% approval. But I'm hoping to get everyone to buy in.
There's no reason why they shouldn't, it's the exact formula is what we do now.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I just wanted to make sure if somebody wanted to have further discussion with the
They can still
taxing
do that.
district.
Thank you for clarifying, I appreciate it.
So, would entertain a motion to accept.
I would make a motion that we accept the IGA investment program, the SIP, for distribution of community service fee under ORS 285C 609.
Second. Motion's been made and seconded to accept intergovernmental agreement for the SIP as stated. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you, Ann, and appreciate you taking that and distributing out to the taxing districts.
Yeah, we'll get that ball rolling and then hope to meet our March 13th timeline with the state of Oregon as far as an executed agreement with all of those districts.
And the only change that you made to that was the word annual being inserted in there.
Yeah. So
That
that's-
just made it simpler for people to actually capture that. And whenever the taxing districts probably realize this, but there will be no tax unless it's built.
Exactly.
And
This is still,
don't plan on taxing districts of getting revenue
yeah,
until
there's
the
still the
project's
upset
approved
process.
and
Yes.
built.
Yes, exactly.
You know, this is just laying the groundwork
Mhm.
for it to get through the process.
Right.
Alright.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Berman, sir. I'll try not to yell at you now.
I don't like being yelled at, makes me sad.
Aw.
If you start crying on us, why make you sad? The Fourth Amendment to the Connect Oregon Agreement is where you're at, and this is on the airport.
Yes, I apologize for yesterday, I kind of forgot I put it on there, my bad. What all it is was, when we were doing our project out there, we had some ground disturbance that wasn't fit to spec, or we had to tear old soil out, we had to bring new soil back in, so that anytime you do that, it changes the scope of the work. As far as everything, actually in the end of it, we come out ahead on it after the scope of the work with the dollars, so it actually benefited us for it to happen, but we just had to take some ground and put it here and remove other ground, so that changes the scope of the work.
So it's just updating the project cost and
Yes.
just the extension of it.
In time.
Yeah, and the extension of time for the project.
And Connect Oregon agrees with the scope of work, so it's a very good thing.
Sounds good.
So entertain a motion.
I recommend that we approve and accept the amendment number 04 for Connect Oregon.
Second. Motion's been made and seconded to accept amendment number 4 to the grant agreement Connect Oregon.
FYI, I had
Any
my
further
stuff
discussion?
there. We'd be prepared, Dave. I appreciate that.
Any further discussion? Apparently there was.
It wasn't there, so.
All in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried.
I had to just touch base with my cohort over here that I did was prepared this morning to have an explanation of the amendment for.
You can see why.
We had a few hiccups
You can
yesterday,
see why
and
I
I just
had to
kind
go
of
out
pointed that out to
today.
him, but I've been waiting
Just wait
patiently,
till
and he's unprepared.
Jake comes up one time and
Oh,
goes blank, the crowd will erupt.
so Dave,
Yeah, this is true.
Well, I wasn't even here yesterday, so I missed it. I'm
you
sorry.
missed it. The
It's all
next item we
professional
have is landowner estoppel, a certificate for airport. And this will lead into all three of them, but I believe we need to do it individually, so we have, I mentioned the estoppel.
You're not having any stuff.
No, I'm missing that one in front of me right now, but go ahead, Dave, with what you need to say about it.
I don't really have a whole lot to say about it. Mel knew a little bit more about it than I did.
I had my fun yesterday, I'm staying out of this one.
So an estoppel guarantees that we will go back on our word with the financial investors and title companies. So this makes the formality of we're agreeing to the access and easement drainage agreements that follow this.
Yes.
I've never used this in 20 years.
Well, when Dave did that, I look at Jake and it's like, sorry.
So I would entertain a motion to approve the estoppel agreement as presented.
So moved.
And I do have it right here in front of me. You could have.
It's right here.
You could have.
I would.
Wait, we have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Motion's been made and second to approve the landowner estoppel certificate as presented. There will be no further discussion. All in favor? Aye. Motion carried. Mr. Berman, next is the drainage easement agreement. As we said yesterday, being sure it's very quiet today, all these are just carried forward agreements from the whole project. They're exactly the same, there's a different ownership, the project's been sold, so this is just taking the same agreements and moving forward to the next person. So we don't really have to have Dave
DE
speak
shop.
to all of them.
PE Shaw renewables.
So we have the drainage easement agreement, would entertain a motion?
Can we have a little bit of discussion?
Absolutely.
Real quick question. When I was reading through this, I admit it was rather late at night. Assessments, it's under 6.1, section 6.
It is a drainage.
Yeah. The section 6, 6.1, assessment of sub easement. Without the need of landowner's consent, grantee shall have an absolute right at any time to assign this agreement and easement of the rights thereunder. As I was just having trouble, I guess, last night, understanding that without the need of the landowner's consent.
Well, it's an easement, and
Yes, an
so
easement, so they have the right
to travel on the
to
easement.
Yeah.
as they desire
For giving it to him.
We're giving it to
that.
Yeah.
I mean, I just did that with my new house.
Design.
Pacific Power has an easement on my house where they can come on to my property without my consent to repair one of their
We
pieces.
shut it off.
Worship, yeah.
James, it's the gospel, Kevin said.
Yeah, right. I know.
What? I can't pay.
Public comments over. No.
I have no control today and I'm leaving into it. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, no, it's fine. I was
So-
reading it really late at night.
I really appreciate that you
Something.
fully read something like
In
that.
the
It was just
initial,
a notation that I had when I was.
Yeah. No, that's good. I'm complimenting you. That's
in the
good.
initial discussion, Dave and Mr. Andrews went through it with a fine tooth comb and made sure that it complied with FAA regulations, that it was to spec, that it wasn't going to take up the whole access, and they refined that down to like a specific area,
Mhm.
like enough room for their easement. So I feel like,
And I do believe that
Short.
was talked when we talked about that.
yeah, like the
Yeah.
depth that needed to be, like in all this regulations.
Well, I haven't been privy to any of those conversations, so
Oh,
I
you
mean, I'm
haven't?
just kind of going through this. This is the first time I've actually ever seen this
We-
document
we-
aside
we-
from when I looked at it the other night.
Oh, I'm sorry,
So,
I
yeah.
apologize, I thought this hadn't been that long ago, but
No, I was
Yeah.
just, this
Well,
was,
we signed this agreement for airport solar.
yeah, we did, but I just don't remember this, honestly. When I was going over this, I don't remember any of this.
You're not old enough to have Alzheimer's.
Thanks. And maybe it was just an oversight, and it was just a notation that I had, and I wanted to ask a question on it.
It's a great question, good question. Would you like to make a motion, or Marge, or?
I'll make a motion to accept the drainage easement agreement with DE Shaw Renewable Investments.
Seconded.
Motion's been made and seconded on the drainage easement agreement with D.E. Shaw Renewables Investment LLC. Further discussion? James not there, going to ask you the other ones after that. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion
Shot
carried.
down in flame, just had a question, that's alright.
Flame down.
Strictly explained to you, I thought, I'm sorry, I thought it was during our time.
We have one other one.
I mean, we could open up for having 2 additional board member seats, you know, we could just have 5 board members, but that's alright.
Well, the thing of it
Kevin
is, you
would
know,
jump
Mark,
on that.
Mark was wanting to get out of here early and I lost complete control of the meetings. The next item is access easement agreement. And it's right on the same thing, this is just carried forward, that was approved with the last owner of it, so. Any questions or thoughts?
No.
Entertain a motion?
I'll make a motion to accept the access easement agreement with GE Shaw Renewable Investments LLC.
Second,
Motion's been made, seconded to accept the access easement agreement, airport, E. Shaw Renewables and Investment LLC. Further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. My mind's still going back to what you were talking about. There's more than mine going back and on the drainage. I whenever it says they don't have to have anything.
well, I actually was just rereading it again, and it made a lot more sense. I mean,
Okay.
if you would like, if you have something that
No,
jumps
no,
off
I
that you were
was just
curious
wanted to
about.
make sure that we gave it just thought, because whenever you catch something, you know, I just wanted to make sure that we gave the time to that was appropriate.
Yeah, we didn't mean to shoot you down.
No, sometimes, you know, it can be a carry forward agreement.
Well, you know,
We get to the second
And
time.
I have noticed in the past, we kind of go through some of these agreements, and they are very standard, and we approve a great deal of them. And these are, a lot of times, it's the same thing that we go over multiple times, and we can miss things.
Right.
And I think even our legal counsel, when he reviews things, it's, you know, he has his points that he looks for.
He looks for legal content.
Right, correct. But when I was reading through it on the assessment of the sub easement, and I guess that's partly, you know, the sub easement is what it's partly talking about there, because it doesn't need the landowner's consent. The grantee shall have the absolute right of at any time to assign this agreement, the easement and its rights there under directly, collaterally, and in whole and in part, or enter into the sub easement agreement under this agreement.
Yeah.
So there's just there was a lot there to unpack, and I think I was extremely tired when I was first reading this. You know, I was back at home, you know, I was going over it late at night, and it was something that just caught my eye. Whenever you see something in an agreement where it says without the need for a landowner's consent,
Yeah, it takes away our authority, basically, it sounds like, as the
Right.
administrators of the county there.
correct?
So,
So that was just, it was just something that popped out at me.
all right. Mr. Berman, I believe we're done with you. Sir,
Thank you.
Thank you, Dave.
next item, the appointment, you work here yesterday, James. I know that Buddy has talked to each one of us individually.
Yeah, I did have a chance to sit down with Buddy and talk about this. Was there any discussion on this yesterday?
The discussion was, basically, in this budget year, how to purchase this, and it's the unanticipated revenue that's coming in by extra tonnage, so I'm very comfortable with this, efficiency, safety, so many things for the operations out there.
Right, and there was a number of safety issues that Buddy and I were going over, just the issue of pulling the tarps over the top of the garbage. You have guys walking over the garbage when they're pulling these tarps out, you know, all you need is a piece of rebar or something else
Or
sticking
even
up,
worse, a needle.
or needles, correct? And I mean, there is a safety issue there. This machine would not only kind of nullify that problem,
It lessens the risk.
it lessens the risk, it really saves a great deal of time. And I think just, like you say, efficiency, I think it would be great. So I'm all
Something
for
like it's
this.
gonna save an hour and a half a day,
Right.
at least.
And I think Buddy was very diligent in going through
everything with both legal counsel and the budget officer and making sure that everyone was up to speed with all this beforehand. So
And
I really appreciate that.
following the process, appropriate process.
Correct.
So would entertain a motion.
I would make a motion that we accept and approve the purchase of the tarp deployment system for the landfill.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve the TARP deployment system by the low quote. I'm trying to.
Oh, yeah.
The low quote is from Southwestern Cells Company.
Correct, for $44,463.01.
Any further discussion?
Just that we only got 2 quotes, cause there's only 2.
There's only 2 companies that make this.
Noted. Thank
Reflect
you.
that in the minutes.
For the record, tried to get 3 quotes, there was only 2 manufacturers of anything that's comparable.
Correct.
So follow the rule. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Just one other, being we're on that, the other thing I suggested to Buddy is just normal operations, but on the risk and the safety out there, I recommended for him to check into puncture resistant pipe boots that stay on site for the employees.
Got it.
To have, and that's just, I think we should do the
Just
same.
as a precaution and
Yep.
then.
It just, one state comp claim cost us a lot more, so just, that's one of the ways I was working with the department head to lessen our risk for our employees, so just update you guys on that a little bit, if he hadn't mentioned that to you. I know you guys would be supportive of that. Oregon Criminal Justice Commission, JRI in Lake County. You're up, Jake.
We'll take a 15-minute break.
Don't screw
Touche. So yes, I was before the board yesterday. This was given to me back in December to bring forward, and for some reason it was an oversight. I didn't get to it, so what this calls for is $132,503.34. Out of that, for our justice reinvestment is an initiative that was created back in 1315, and Criminal Justice Commission is looking at ways to reduce prison population. In doing so, they asked that we create a program to help reduce our prison sentences. So what we did is we created our drug court, and our drug court, the technical term is enhanced supervision and treatment court program. So the idea behind it is downward departure. Someone has a prison sentence, they can go to prison, the downward depart, given probation. Should that probation ever be revoked, they do go to prison and serve that sentence. So it's another opportunity at intense treatment, intense supervision, and getting sober and crime free. If they don't, they still have a prison sentence. So we've been allocated monies every year since the biennium 13-15. And with our monies, like I said, we created this program. This year, our allocation is $132,534 for 1921. Out of that 132, 10% right off the top goes to non-profit victim services programs in our community. We have 2. We have one in North Lake, New Beginnings. We have one here, the Crisis Center. So we split that 10% over 2 years. Then again, off the top, 3%. Let's see exact name of that. Exact name is.
How is that split between the 2?
They get 5%.
They each get 5%? Okay.
5%.
Front page shows about 6,000, front page there, shows right here, 6,800.
Got it.
Yeah.
Good moments, yep.
3% off the top is given back to the Criminal Justice Commission to study the evaluation of our program and the evaluation of our justice reinvestment program, the way we're spending our money, and how where we were at one time, where we are today, and the comparables. So our total is about 118,000 is what we get for our treatment court, and the within your packet is the breakdown of where the money's allocated. Commissioner Winters had a question yesterday about the other category. And I had left this on my desk. So the other category, we budget monies, I believe it's about $61,000.
Yeah, pretty close, yeah.
And just under $61,000. It's we budget $7,000 for 2 years for GPS, alcohol monitoring bracelets. Subsidy housing is $7,100. We have a cell phone that we use for our UA line. So everybody in treatment court, they're assigned a team. Usually there's colors, but we went with teams, so we have, I believe, the Beavers, Ducks, and Cougars right now. So that's our UA line. They call in, we change that every morning. Some mornings we have one team for UA, some mornings we have all three. Sometimes we have none. It's just random, and it includes weekends, Saturdays and Sundays, and holidays as well. We also budgeted for a medical assisted treatment to have a physician assigned to our team, $36,000 for 2 years, so $18,000 a year, and that's to have them. We've gone with medical assisted treatment for our opioid addicts, and we need to work with a physician on that. So when we have questions, it's hard to get physicians into our program unless we have them on retainer. So we have Dr. Scott Graham, Lisa Cahill. The reason we went with those two is Lisa works with our population in our jail, so she knows our clients already.
Right.
Dr. Graham has a contract at the prison. Most of our releases come from the prison, so he
knows those guys.
He knows those guys. And then we also budgeted $10,000 for 2 years, so $5,000 a year for Oregon Health Plan indigent folks. And those are the folks that are Social Security disability, that don't qualify for OHP, but their Medicaid doesn't pay for treatment at all. So we have some money budgeted there to help offset that cost. And then there's also those folks that fall in the gap. They don't qualify for OHP, yet they don't have, because they make too much money, but yet they don't have private insurance.
Right.
So we help offset some of those costs. So the total of that comes up to just under $61,000.
Thank you. That makes it much clearer for me. I appreciate that information.
You bet. You bet.
Entertain a motion, unless you have other questions, I'm sorry.
Well, there was one, you had another question, Commissioner, on the training piece.
Yeah,
Pointed out travel and training, $20,000. That's $10,000 a year. And what we've done is for our national alcohol and drug court professional training that we rotate, we're on a 3-year rotation where everybody goes every 3 years. The registration cost for that's about $750. So we budgeted almost $5,300 for registration fees, and then travel expenses, just over $13,000 for travel, because the conferences, believe it or not, aren't in Bend. They're in Anaheim, DC, Houston, Tennessee. So
And the trainings are part of the requirement of the grant.
absolutely,
And the grant is allowable to use the grant dollars to go to training, so that's a plus.
absolutely. And then we also budgeted another $1,500 for our regional implementation committee, which is through the Criminal Justice Commission. They break down our justice reinvestment expenditures, and they did that at this last AOC. They didn't really do that at AOC. So we budgeted some money to set aside, so when we send people to the AOC conference, comes out of this, because they do talk, a lot of emphasis is put on Criminal Justice Commission and justice reinvestment, and how we're doing statewide. Criminal Justice Commission usually takes up to an hour, almost 2 hours, throughout the day, because at AOC we not only have community corrections directors, there's also county administrators, county commissioners that also attend our first day meetings. I believe Commissioner Moore, you attended that, maybe not last year, 2 years ago.
Sounds good. Yeah.
You'd be a good car salesman. Entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve the Oregon Criminal Justice entering into contract with the Criminal Justice Commission to continue funding our treatment court program.
Motion's been made and seconded to accept the Oregon Criminal Justice Commission JRI grant agreement in Lake County. Any further discussion? Total amount being $132,503.34. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. I think we're done with you, Jake. Thank you, sir. We have the Sixth Amendment to OHA agreement the number it is
159818.
818. Melanie gave an overview of Judy's not able to be here, this is $1,000 plus coming. So, yeah, I have no further questions. You guys have any further questions? Entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to accept the Sixth Amendment to the OHA agreement number 159818 for fiscal impact of $1,000.
Seconded.
Motion's been made and seconded to accept the Sixth Amendment agreement number 159818. Any further discussion for the $1,000? Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Next item, James, you brought this in, I believe, the CHIP approval of the members. This is a requirement for this organization or to come before the board.
Yeah.
Apparently. Got a little bit of overview or?
So Eastern Oregon Coordinated Care Organization requires that the individual LCACs basically we have lists of our community partners, and we would like to, and Lake County's LCAC is 112 in Eastern Oregon, and it's pretty standard, basically just that we need to get the board's approval, the local board commissioner's approval, and just acknowledgement more than anything of the membership list for our LCAC.
Yeah, I think what you just said, it's acknowledgement.
It's not really an approval, so it's just an acknowledgement basically by consensus of the board, and we reflected in our minutes that we have actually seen this.
Okay.
So
So do you want to do it by consensus or motion?
we can do it by consensus.
Okay, thank you for bringing us forward, consensus of the board, on the membership for me.
Yep.
Very good, thank you. Minutes, we have work session 12:17, regular session 12:18, work session 1:14, and regular session 1:15, special session 1:21, special session 1:22. I guess you guys could read that yourself, without me stating it all. Right.
I make a motion to accept the minutes as presented by Chairman Winters.
I will second that motion.
Motion's been made and seconded to accept the minutes as stated. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion carries. Before we get to the legal updates,
Are you?
Yeah, we're not. in
before we
executive
get
session
to legal updates, yesterday, the MOU, the draft one,
yet. Oh, yeah,
I
I don't have it in front of me.
you don't have it in front of you.
But that's okay, it's alright, it's in
Well,
my
the only thing-
office, but go right ahead.
The only thing is just for consideration, under Lake County, we haven't put on statement.
Correct.
And so I just penciled this in yesterday and I thought just for it to be massaged or whatever, I just sort of went off the Klamath counties. That's about it, 'cause I sort of like short and sweet. But I wrote down serving our citizens through healthy forest and rangeland stewardship. I don't know if that's what we want to put in there, it's pretty simple. People will generally read something short and to the point
Right.
than to read the whole paragraph.
I think that's perfect.
However, I believe serving our citizens through stewardship, that they haven't approached their board of commissioners yet, so their board of commissioners might have something more to add there in Klamath. That was what they told us
Well,
yesterday, wasn't it?
According to Amy, she just put something in there to
Yeah,
Yeah.
But she
An
just,
idea.
she didn't even bother with anything for us.
Yeah, well,
So-
that sort of confused me when it's come before us.
Because she hadn't approached them yet.
Yeah.
And
So, but that's where I was
Yeah,
at.
I like yours.
And it can be changed or whatever, but,
yeah, I think that's an excellent start at least. I mean,
Yeah.
we can add to it if we want
but we
to, if
do need to
necessary.
get something in there and get it back to them because it is in draft, because we do need
So
to
do
get
you
this.
wanna go by consensus, that's okay with us?
Well, I'm not a real good writer, so I.
I think that's direct and to the point and exactly what we're
You guys are good.
covering in this agreement.
I'm fine with that,
Okay.
honestly, especially for a first draft. I mean, we want to get something back to them.
Okay,
So I'm very comfortable with that.
so consensus of the board, under Lake County, will say serving our citizens through healthy forest and rangeland stewardship. Would you get that, Melanie, to, Amy Marcus? And then we have that part, and then we can go over this draft individually and look through it and other things, but I sort of wanted to, because we forget about these things. And I
Right,
wanna bring it back
it's
to the
easy.
board today, and if you guys come up with something that needs to be better than that. But this board, previous board, talks healthy forest. Right. And it's real palatable across all organizations, so.
The other thing is on page 7, I believe it's number 14, Lake County shall. Is there anything in there that,
I haven't written it.
because
We talked
it's
about it a little bit
identical
yesterday.
to Klamath County's, and so I felt like, as far as items of agreement go, and guiding principles, if this is Lake County's, maybe we want to go over that a little bit as well.
So, that's very good, on that, coordinate updates to Lake County Community Wildfire Protection Plan. Right now, Kendall is looking at through one of her hacks, through LCRI, I think maybe, updating our community wildfire protection plan and asking us for Title III dollars. With that in there, I don't mind it while we have Title III dollars to pay for that. But if Title III never will go away, leverage always update those plans, a lot of times sort of struggle, so it says shall.
Yeah,
But
but it also
it
says
might be
as
10
appropriate.
years or something.
It also says as appropriate. So, I mean, however we deem appropriate. That is still under C, correct? Yeah, coordinate updates to Lake County Community Wildfire
Okay.
Protection Plan as appropriate. But,
So that was only a little bit of concern, the engaging in community smoke management, that's pretty much mandated, we do that.
And I attend all their meetings, even though they're close with the county every time.
Yeah, so I don't have just a comment on that, but what you're saying as appropriate, that's, if there's not funding available, then it wouldn't be
then
appropriate.
it's not appropriate. So,
Good catch.
but, if there is something that, you know, a lot of times we think about these things, we sleep on them, we go back and we'll have a better idea. We're mentioning it here twice, and there's 2 parts in this document that, tend towards putting responsibility on Lake County, and I would like to make sure that we're reviewing that.
So, okay, so Melanie, if you would, the one addition, go ahead and get that. And I think they said sometime in March is when they would be out of draft form and be ready to.
Yeah,
actually accept.
Definitely want to get it done this month.
Yeah, you know, and government, how things sort of get down to the all sometimes. So that's the only other thing, did we get all the additions and everything? So,
Real quick question.
sure,
The 2000 Ford F-450 that was approved yesterday,
yeah, this is a gratification.
I assumed it was.
So we went ahead and done the
Just
first
ratified it.
ratification. And thank you guys for support of that. I know as I said in the meeting yesterday, you weren't here. We've been looking for quite some time and I pushed that pretty hard and we got it done. Yep. So thank you for that support for that department. So we're gonna take a short break and then we'll come back into executive session. 192.660 potential litigation that